Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to lesson 2 of our Blutilities course. In the first lesson we had a quick overview of what Blutilities are and how to use them. In this lesson we'll go slightly deeper into them. I'm trying to create a modular Blutility because this is mainly used for larger projects where you don't really know what you want. So this helps to say, hey, it doesn't matter what you want, I work with, a lot of different things, kind of making the Blutility extra useful. So you might notice in the scene, we've got rid of the lights. And if we click here, you'll notice that I've removed most of the code. So I want you to go ahead and do that now. Just remove the lights and remove all the code, but the main thing. You'll notice here that I've actually changed our custom event. I've simply just renamed it to replace actor. So I want you to go ahead and do that. So remove all the code and replace the custom event name to replace actor. You'll notice here it's still a Blutility. We can still call it an editor. And make sure all the variables that we had before are all removed. So we're starting with a clean slate apart from this event. You'll notice in the bottom left, I have added some more variables, sorry. So let's bring them in just to explain what they are. So we've got actor to change into, and temp transform. So actor to change is a variable type of actor. Actor to change into is also a variable type of actor. And we also have temp transform. So you might be wondering, why are these purple and not blue? A normal reference is an actor reference. So imagine a room full of PlayStations, okay? So we have 6 PlayStations in this room. If you want to talk to one specific PlayStation, that we'd need a reference of that specific PlayStation. Whereas if we want to talk to all the PlayStations, we'd talk to the class of the PlayStation. So it's basically just saying, hi, I'm a PlayStation. Whereas an actor reference would be, hi, I'm this specific PlayStation. Okay, so what you're going to need to do is create these variables. So create one called actor. What I'll do is I'll remove these now and create them alongside you. So we're going to call this one actor to change. Under variable type, we're going to go into we're going to type in actor. And where it says reference, obviously we just spoke about this. We want class and not reference. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Make sure it's selected to editable so we can edit it in the editor. And then, compile and save because we don't like crashes. So go do it again, actor to change into. And it's already set up this actor class for us, so we don't need to change that. In case yours hasn't, just go ahead and set it up to the actor class. Again, set it to editable. And then finally, we need the temp transform. So we're going to head type that in. Obviously, it's variable type transform, and we're going to click this kind of 9-button array here to turn it into a transform. And instead of what we did before, we're not going to make it editable. Okay, so compile and save. What we're going to do first is make sure when we run this Blutility that the transform array is empty. And you'll see why we're using the transform array in a second. So we're going to simply drag it into the blueprint. And you might drag it in as get, like I just did then. That's the wrong thing to do. What we're going to do is delete it, drag it in again, and get set. Okay, not get, set. I know that can be a little confusing. Alternatively, you can hold Alt and drag it in, and it will automatically create a set node. So we're going to hook that up to our Blutilities event. From this input pin on temp transform, we're going to drag out and say make array, and make sure this is empty. This is basically a really quick way of saying, okay, transform array, if you've ever had anything in you before, you're now empty. Excellent. So when we click this button, it's going to make sure temp transform is empty, which is what we want. So now we're going to drag in actor to change. You can either drag it in, select get, or hold control and drag. And then once it's in, we're going to grab the output pin and select get all actors of class. Obviously, this node is self-explanatory. It gets all actors of class. Brilliant. So that gives us an array of all the actors in the scene that meet our class. So in our PlayStation example, it will be all the PlayStations in this room. So what we need to do now is for each loop, And that basically says, okay, for each and every one you find, do this. Excellent. So what we're going to do is drag from this array element. We're going to, I'm getting a bit too ahead of myself there. Before we destroy the thing that existed, we need to remember where it was. So, we're going to grab temp transform, and we're going to set array elements. You could, in theory, use an add or add unique, but because we're doing the make array to set it to null, that can cause some issues. So this is the safest way to do it. So what I'm going to do is use a set array element. And as you can see here, index is going to be the same array index, like so. And then item. You'll see that item is blank. We obviously need to put something in there. We need to say this is the transform to use. So what we're going to do is from array element, we're going to select get actor transform, like so. And just simply plug it in. Just plug it straight in. Almost done there. Now select size to fit. This makes sure if the array only has 2 slots and we have 3 actors to remember, it will obviously size the array. It will add an extra slot for this array element to go into. Excellent. So, once that's done, we're going to grab this array element again, and we're actually going to destroy the actor because he doesn't need to exist anymore. Excellent. So, what this line of code is doing is when we click the replace actor button, it's going to make sure that our transform array is empty. Then it's going to find all the actors we ask it to. And for each one, it's going to remember the transform and then destroy the original actor. So what do we need to do now? What we need to do is, now that we've destroyed the original actor, we need to replace it with the actor that we want to obviously replace it with. So let's go ahead and do the same thing, get all actors of class. No, sorry, getting way ahead of myself there. Okay, so what we need to do now is, for the amount of transforms there are, we need to spawn an actor at that transform. So what we're going to do is get our temp transform, and we need to get the length. So the length is, and it will give us a thing. Let's print this to string, just an example so we know what we're doing, like so. And make sure that's printed into the log. So once that's all done, it will tell us the length of the array. So let's go ahead, make sure your Blutility is in the scene, and go ahead and select replace actor and then click run. You might notice nothing happens. That's because, it's hidden into our log, which you can see here. If you don't have your output log, you can find it in Window, Developer Tools, and Output Log. I've got mine docked here because it's nice and clean. What you'll see here is log user blueprint Blutility 1. That basically means that the array is empty, which is perfectly fine by me. Excellent. So we know that the transform is working because it's saying, hey, I've got one entry, which is this entry just here, make array 0. So what we need to do is for each loop. So what we're doing is getting all the transforms, and for each one, so for each loop, we're going to spawn an actor from class. Spawn actor from class, and the transform obviously goes straight into the transform. Collision handling override. This basically means what should we do if it's colliding when it spawns? We're going to say always spawn. Ignore the collisions. We've told you exactly where we want you. Please go there. You might notice that spawn actor is set to none at the moment. So what we need to do is drag in our actor to change into here, and then simply set it as a class. And that's all we have to do there. Excellent. So we need to test this out now. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to say, as you can see here, once you click on your Blutility, actor to change that to change into. So we want, let's bring in some point lights, like so. Point light, point light, point light, point light. 4 point lights. So actor to change is point light. Actor to change into, let's turn them into, good question. What shall we turn them into? Let's turn them into player starts. Okay, So what we're going to do is scroll down to Blutilities, select Replace Actor, and hit Run. As you can see, they're all in the exact same place, and then our player starts. Excellent. So what we need to do is make sure that there weren't more than we asked for. Because if you remember, we had an issue where it said the array was 1. So what I'd like to do is just confirm that there is not an issue and that we can replicate doing this multiple times without causing any issues. So we're now going to put in actor to change as player start and actor to change into brush. No, let's try something more obvious. Why not? Let's change it to a matinee actor. Why not? So again, select the Blutility and select Run. As you can see, there's 5 matinees, not one too many. That's perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. So in this lesson, we've extended the usability of our Blutility. So hopefully now you're getting a deeper understanding of what is possible with Blutilities. We've made sure that we can replace one actor with another, but you're not limited to that. That's basically just showing you the very basics of being able to switch one thing out with another, and it doesn't matter what the other thing is. So you could be very experimental with this, because this is just actor switching. You could make sure something spawns once something else spawns, but that is a question for the next lesson, which is how do we take this to the next level and make it watch what we're doing? So make it look out for when we're doing something to change it for us. So for example, say I spawned a light, I always want that light to be set a particular way. So in the next lesson, we'll be covering how to do that. For now, rest easy. This has been quite a full-on lesson, but I hope you've learned what you've needed to learn, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Peace out, everyone.